Okay, welcome back. Navigating the unknown. We are back. Feels good, right, Hugh?
Yeah, I'm so jonesing for this. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Been a while.
Yeah.
I'm Andrea Stern of SternRep and AskSternRep, and now AskSternRep.com, my new website. So please check that out. In these webinars, we cover the topics that shape your career as a photographer. Thank you, APA LA, for making this happen. Today, we are excited to bring back our consultants team to get into the photographer's guide to effective marketing. My co-host is LA photographer and APA LA board member Hugh Kretschmer.
Hi.
And our guests are consultants Amy V. Cooper and Julie Skarwecki. To continue the conversation, let me turn to Hugh first.
Hi, Andrea, and thank you, ladies, for joining us. I'm really grateful to be here and be back finally after a long summer. It was great respite, but I'm anxious to get back. I've been a board member for about 3 years, and APA is all about advocacy, community, and bringing everyone together as much as we possibly can. We get a chance to do these webinars, which were so wonderful and informative to you. And I have a special announcement today only. We are offering a special 20% discount to new memberships only at all levels. And so this is for the first year of membership. And so our director, Patty Silverstein, will be putting her email address up on the chat so you can access. She'll give you, if you email her, she'll reply with a code. Okay, so and I'll talk more about that at the end of this webinar. So back to you, Andrea. Thanks.
Well worth it. This APA, it's something that we all have and we can use together, and that's a huge part. That's a huge part of everything we do. Okay, so you two, welcome back. Thrilled to have you both here, and I mean that. Amy V. Cooper is one of the top photography consultants in the US with over 20 years of experience working as a professional photographer, photo editor, ad agency art buyer, and as a photography agent. She has the unique experience of having been on every possible side of the camera with a variety of clients, including UPS, Microsoft, Mary Kay, Coca-Cola, Netflix, Teen Vogue, Esquire, and many more brands. Julie Scarweckey is a consultant specializing in helping artists define their personal brands, strengthen their portfolios, connect with photo editors and art buyers, and successfully target their ideal clients using strategic marketing and promotional tactics. She has over 10 years of experience in the photography industry, including being a photography agent and a consultant. She has worked with photographers and illustrators with clients lists that include Amazon, Facebook, Coca-Cola, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, Instagram, Gatorade, Fendi, Whole Foods, Target, Delta, Bud Light, and many more. So hi to both of you.
Hello.
Long intro because you both have a lot to share.
Thanks for having us. So exciting to be back.
Let me start with attendees. You are a major part of this webinar, and we always want all of your questions. Keep them coming in. Please put questions in the Q&A area, not the chat area, to make it easier for us. Remember to join Hugh and I at the end of this discussion because we like to stay on and have our own little wrap chat behind the back of these other two for just a few minutes of everything we've learned today. So stay tuned and stay on with us afterward. Today's topic of marketing is a biggie, we had 3 other episodes together. I didn't realize it was 3, guys.
Yep.
We are exploiting you as much as possible. To watch those episodes, it's number 12, number 13, number 14. Check AskSternRep and APA's YouTube to watch these and subscribe to both of them, please. Those 3 episodes examined all the specific areas of marketing. Today, we get into how to develop your effective marketing plan. I have a question at the end of this with an answer from art producers that really surprised me. I sent out a survey and I'm going to share that at the end. The final question will be, what do you think of TikTok and the amount of followers on Instagram? So I will share that at the end. Last week, I did a clubhouse. I discussed marketing with two industry leading photographers, Matthew Young and Art Stryber, on Clubhouse. Before I begin, I am curious how you heard of this webinar. How many people heard of this from Clubhouse, from that one, and also the one we all did yesterday? I'm just curious how Clubhouse works. So please let us know. Oh, great. APA email. Let us know how you hear of this. It's just interesting. We like to know what works, right? It's our job. So I started off on that Clubhouse with Matthew and Art, and I want to repeat what I said on that one. This topic will bring up as many questions as it will answers, because as I see it, there is no absolute one way to do this marketing plan. Marketing is a large, vital backbone of running our business with some absolute critical ways of getting it done. And then so much about marketing is a convoluted, ever-changing mystery. My recommendation is for all photographers to listen in this next hour on marketing as a way to build your own think tank. Much of marketing has to come from the individual as you are selling yourself. You are the product clients are looking to hire. So get as creative as you do with your images. Hello, you two. I feel like I'm talking a lot here. I need to just hear you guys for a minute. So my co-host Hugh, of course, as you see, I believe a photographer must have a marketing plan. This plan has to be based on who you are and what you bring to it. I'm curious if you all agree to that.
Absolutely.
Is that what the marketing
Absolutely.
plan is based on? Is it the person, or is it what we're doing? The things we need to do?
I think it's both.
Yeah, I feel like those go hand in hand, don't they?
That's what I'm hoping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed with that.
I think
What
you
would
look at all the options and decide which marketing systems resonate best with you and create your order from there.
What would you say to create that order is the most influential factor of a marketing plan? Is there one that jumps out to you guys? Something specific? Anything?
I think consistency is really important. I think a lot of people can find that to be overwhelming, but there are systems that you can set up to make it easier on yourself. But consistently getting your work and your face and your name in front of people is often more important than what you're marketing necessarily, or just as important, I would say.
But
Yes, and I believe that the system that you're showing up on most consistently is obviously going to have the best return for you. But what I'm hearing from my clients is that direct emailing and portfolio reviews have the best return for getting jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's
I
interesting.
agree with that. But isn't the content important too, as far as, keeping your face out there? But if you're showing mediocre work, or you're work that doesn't thrill you, is that counterintuitive? Does it work against you?
No, it is. I mean, the work is important. I think what I meant is just if you have like a really strong portfolio, a really strong project that you want to share, it's sending out one email newsletter a year is not going to have a huge impact. It's not probably going to have any impact at all. Whereas if you are focusing more on consistency and creating a marketing plan where you can be consistent, and really focusing on making sure you have the materials to be consistent, you're going to see a much higher return on your investment than if you just, very inconsistently, sort of haphazardly and sporadically send out, a newsletter, a printed promo once every 2 years. Like maybe sometimes you're on Instagram, maybe sometimes you send out those direct emails. Consistency can be something that really like makes or breaks your marketing plan.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I
okay.
definitely agree. Without consistency, I don't even know if people can remember
They
the
won't.
photographer.
Yeah.
Because there's so much going on in our clients. I mean, they are working so much more, I think, than ever, because other people are getting laid off. So they're often having to do 2 jobs and 3 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They're oversaturated. So if we aren't consistent, they can't remember that one time. I totally agree with you.
They're not magicians. Yeah, they have the same bandwidth that we all do. And when you think about it, they're consuming so much content You know, as a photographer, you're seeing what other people are creating, you know, on your own social media maybe. But if you're someone who's in a hiring position, you're constantly inundated with content from photographers.
There's a stat out there that I think I heard that it takes 4 times to get them to remember you and bring you into their consciousness. So 4 attempts. And that's just a number I think people should keep in mind. You know, don't take it personally if they're not responding, but just, you know, go in there respectfully, but keep it consistent. Yeah.
Is that like a cognitive scientific study? Like it has to go in?
Yeah, like someone did some study on, yes, exactly right. You know, it's just, you know, it takes 4 times for them to like, oh, okay, because you're connecting the dots like, oh, I remember him now because he sent me that before. Okay. And then another one comes along and that, oh, okay. So now I'm paying attention, right? So anyway.
That's great. Thank you for that, Hugh.
And consistency builds trust. The more someone sees your name, the more they start to think that they trust you.
Why?
It's
And you
just a repetition and the recognition.
Because maybe they don't trust that you're the quality of photographer if they only see you once?
I think so. Yes.
I think you're right about that. I think you're right about that.
As a rep, my definition of marketing is to get clients to know of us and see our work. I'm curious, do you have a different simple sentence that expresses the goals of marketing? Such a huge topic.
Yeah, I think that when I talk to people, the goal that I tell people that they're sort of aiming for is to become top of mind, which sort of goes back to what Hugh was saying. They're like, in any sort of traditional marketing, it's understood that you do have to get yourself in front of a potential client or customer a certain number of times before you become top of mind. And in the photo industry, like, we're not selling milk, you know, like your clients don't just have projects for you at all times. So your goal is to become top of mind so that when a project comes up that you would be a good fit for, people either can find your work really easily because they go to that newsletter folder in their email, or they look at their social media, or they remember you specifically. Oh yeah, I got this thing from this person. They would be a great fit for this project. So that again is why consistency is so important, because you want to be the thing that they think of when they see the project that you would be good for.
Like the certain keyword that they're looking for that project?
Yeah, like if someone's looking and they're seeing, you know, the creative direction for this shoot, and they're like, oh, okay, right, I remember getting this email from someone who created work that looked very similar to this, and I've seen them on Instagram also, and, you know, we connected on LinkedIn. They're gonna think of you when it comes time to, like, you know, be pushing you through to the client. Whereas if a project comes in that you're great for, but they've never heard of you before, it makes it a lot harder for them to do their job, because then they have to find you. They probably have a list of people already. So if you create a marketing plan where your main goal is just to be top of mind, people are going to be reaching out to you because they're going to know who you are already when that project comes through.
It sounds like a file system in a computer.
Yeah.
Folder. We got to become a folder in their mind.
Yeah.
One thing I'm sure we all agree on, and Hugh brought this up a few minutes ago, is marketing only works if the product is solid. The entire marketing plan depends on the A+ level of images, branding, and your website portfolio. We covered what is a solid website and branding in our past episodes with these wonderful consultants, but that was more of an in-depth on, and today we'll be discussing other things as far as mandatory, solid before the marketing can begin. The words I often hear about describing a marketing plan are pillars and tiers and outbound, outsourcing. Do you break out of the overall picture of the plan in specific way? Like, do you break it out in other types of words? Or do you use these words? Pillars, tiers.
I don't use any of these words.
Oh.
What's a pillar?
Like, here's my 4 pillars of marketing. Like, people organize this in their own computer head.
It makes sense.
Wow.
Do you guys have any kind of structure for how you
think I break it down more, first I get to know my clients and what types of marketing they feel most confident with, and really break it up by social media, email, portfolio reviews, print, networking, things like that. That's how I do it.
Mhm.
I am going to quickly share how I see developing a marketing plan. Hugh, can you share your screen for us?
Yeah, hold on 1 second, please.
I'm calling it my pyramid scheme. It just sounds right. So I'll just begin. I built a pyramid with levels based on where you are, very specific to each photographer. Everybody can fill in the triangles in their own way.
Can you see that okay? Everyone can see
Yeah.
that? Good.
So, and you guys, please feel free to jump in as I explain this, because maybe you have questions or your own thoughts about it. The top one is where you're needing one thing, at least one type of marketing that you master. You own this. This is your thing. And you even enjoy it. It could be individual emails or taking clients to lunch or LinkedIn, or my favorite, testing. So I base this on photographers I've repped. I see them do well if they master one type of marketing. So it can kind of take the stress off that you don't have to do all of these, although some people are going to say, yes, you have to do all of these. This is my opinion of a marketing plan. Level 2 are what you're very good at. It's best to have at least 3 other areas that you find easy to do and really speak to your natural skill set. Level 3 is at least 4 parts of marketing that you're good at, and you are consistent about these by scheduling them into your own routine. They're like a normal part of your routine. And level 4 and 5 are based on what you need to do more. The goal is to bring these untapped pieces of your plan up a level. These are often the tasks that require your creativity to try new things like outsourcing, researching, or working with consultants like these two, etc. These are the levels telling you to reach out and figure out some new ways, these bottom 2 levels. Thank you for sharing that, Hugh.
Mm-hmm.
We can come back now.
Yep. There we go. I just needed to find the button. There we go.
I base this pyramid by seeing how photographers can really do well by mastering one of these or a few of these and constantly learning to grow and expand. Tell me, how does this look to you? Give me some feedback on my pyramid scheme. Any thoughts on that?
I think that's a great way to look at it and to see all of the possibilities and help you figure out, well, which ones do I feel like I'm best at, putting those at the top, and then, working a little bit. I think that can also maybe help you break down your time and money commitment too, seeing it that way.
What do you mean? Time and money commitment?
How much time you're going to spend on different marketing tasks. So the ones that you're really good at, you're going to have a better return. Maybe you spend more time and effort on those. The ones you are not good at, maybe those are ones where you spend more money getting other people to help you with those.
Yes. Reach out, you delegate, you get help.
Yeah.
Yes. I really want photographers to hear that. So, yeah. Yes, Julie?
Question, is that something that people can download?
I will get it on AskSternRep. So I don't know exactly how I'm going to put it out there. I just did it yesterday, but
Okay.
I will find a way. So follow AskSternRep for that. Let's see. Do you guys agree with me that testing is the most important? I'd love to hear, what's the most important? Oh, Hugh, yes, go on.
Yes.
Hugh.
No, I think, look, marketing can go nowhere unless you have the enthusiasm behind it. And the best way that I found my enthusiasm is doing a personal project that sings to my heart. All right. And when I'm doing something that I'm really proud of and I market it, it's going to be that much better than if I'm just showing a mediocre project. Okay. And I think people really pick up on that energy. No matter, you can be saying the same thing with 2 different moods and the exact same words and everything, but they're going to pick up on that, mediocrity compared to showing something that feels really, really good. So, and I'll tell you, in my portfolio, art directors usually gravitate towards my personal projects. They stop there. Now what I'm doing is I'm showing, instead of showing the commercial work up front, I'm showing the personal projects first in my portfolio reviews, because that sets such a different stage. It is more personal. It just becomes more of a connection with them. That's what I've experienced. So I think it's super important.
Wow.
Super important.
Julie?
I think networking is the most important thing, because I always ask my clients, where did your last 5 jobs come from? And almost all of them say word of mouth for the majority of it.
Interesting.
I mean, I think testing is great. I think having projects that you're passionate about is really important, especially if you don't have in your portfolio the things that your target clients need to see. Testing is incredibly important, but I think networking for me is always the top.
Julie, any other thought?
So most of the people that I work with, one of the first questions that I ask them is where do their clients find them? Like sort of on an intro call, like before we're even working together. I want to, get a background into what they're doing for their own marketing. So most people will say that it's referrals or word of mouth. But then the follow-up question is, well, what are you doing for your marketing? And then they always say, well, nothing. And it's like, okay, so that's definitely the highest return on your investment is always going to be word of mouth marketing. But that also usually is an indicator to me that they don't have a solid marketing practice in place. Because when I talk to people who do, it's usually like, oh, I don't know, like this from Instagram, this person found me here, this one was referred to me, this one came through, my website, like I have my SEO set up. So that the highest return on investment will be word of mouth for most people, but it is also in your best interest to be using other marketing platforms to get people to be aware of you and to come and find your work. So either on social media or even your website, if you do have your SEO set up in a really strong way, that's what can get people in the door where you're speaking to a larger audience, because it's a little bit self-limiting if the main place that people are finding you is from other people. That can often limit your growth, because those people are probably going to hire you for jobs that you've already done because they're seeing the work that was already created. So if you're trying to grow or you're trying to expand into a different industry, then I always sort of encourage people to try to get outside of that and start appealing to a new audience, which often will involve test shoots, because you need to make sure that those clients are seeing the type of work that they want to hire you for. So kind of both, I guess that all kind of works together a little bit.
I know it's hard to pull out one, but I was thinking as a rep, what do I feel? For me, I feel it clearly. It's testing, because testing is your marketing direction. Because marketing plan doesn't mean just now. It's where you're growing to, what you're going to do. Where do you want to get to? That's your marketing plan.
Testing allows, oh, sorry.
No, go.
I was going to say testing allows people to take control over their careers in a way that can feel very self-empowering. And that always starts, and I know we've talked about this before, with having your a dream client list, the target people that you're really gunning for, and filling your book with work that they would want to see, targeting those clients. That allows you to have more control. And a lot of the time, the people that I work with often feel that they don't have that control. They're getting work in, they might be busy all the time, but they're not really getting to that next step. And that's sort of where I always say, okay, well, let's start testing. Let's try to get some more work in, target a few different clients, then share that work with those clients and with, the world at large. But that allows people to really have a sense of control, when otherwise it's like, well, we don't really know who's going to be reaching out today. You don't really know where those people are coming from.
Which I think is also the purpose of the marketing plan.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
And Hugh, you were saying before about personal work, same thing. People want to get a sense of you.
Yeah.
And that's testing.
Yeah, for sure. And when I'm describing the work, it's very personal. It's, you know, it's revealing of who I am as a creative thinker, and it reveals my sensibilities, and they get to know me as a, you know, beyond just meeting, right? They get to meet me and
Yeah.
you know, truly
Feel like they know you a little more.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it. So
Right.
I
You know,
think
I
that was-
read, so gone. Yeah.
I think that was really interesting what Julie was saying about who are you attracting, and testing is important, but also taking things off of your website that you don't want to get more of is also very important.
Hmm.
That's a
That's
really
a
good
really
point.
good point.
Ooh. I'm in New York City and it's very loud. Can you hear that? I just thinking, I repped photographers before that they get busy and their whole portfolio becomes, it's like a resume. It's all the jobs they've been shooting in the past. And I feel like they lose their direction of who they are and where they are. It looks more like other people's ideas.
Hmm.
And I have this saying in my own head, your portfolio needs you. Portfolio needs you. Test. Fill it back, not just with your jobs. Yeah.
A question that comes up for me a lot in regards to this is a lot of people feel some hesitancy with sharing test work sometimes, and ask me like, am I allowed to put that on my website, or can I use that in marketing materials? And I'm like, yes, that's sort of the point.
Right.
That's why we're doing this. But yeah, when your clients are looking at your website or looking at your marketing materials, like they know that not everything is going to be client work. You know, they're not expecting that. As long as you're not calling it client work in a misleading way, you know, then it's absolutely fine and encouraged to share that. And again, that helps you to have more control over where your career is going and who's going to be reaching out to you and who's going to be hiring you.
Yeah, I don't think they care.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I mean, I've never heard of anyone having a problem with that.
Yeah. So a marketing plan requires knowing what you are not doing as much as you know what you are doing. And that was another part of my pyramid scheme, I keep calling it, to know what you're not doing. Get in touch with, what am I not doing? Figure out the areas that I'm lacking in to stay as organized and consistent with your plan. When a photographer is not doing an important part of their marketing, how do you coach them when it's something, let's say on the bottom, and they're not doing it and they don't want to? How do you bring it out of them and say, no, look, we got to do that? What's step?
I think you have to give them examples of how it can be really effective. Show them where there might be missed opportunities. I love sharing examples with one client from another client who had great success. I know we're going to maybe talk about this later, but I love telling people how the LinkedIn algorithm is so much more effective than the Instagram algorithm. So just giving them that information and showing them what's possible and what they could get out of it, maybe even more easily than what they're doing now.
Good. It's tangible. You're making it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Kind of calm the fears. I think a lot of photographers aren't reaching out because they're afraid of what to say. They're afraid that they're going to send something that people don't like. Kind of going over those things.
Right.
There's a question, if you guys are willing to hear from the audience.
Yeah, of course.
I'm curious how far out your marketing plan goes, and is it tied to your calendar of professional goals, or do you market based on what you've shot recently?
Both. Both. What do you guys say?
If I'm putting together a marketing plan for someone, it's usually a year out, but it's not. I would say like the strategies that we're using, I would allocate a year for those strategies. In terms of the work that you're using for it, though, it's not like we start today and this is the only work that we're sharing for the next year.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, what I found to be helpful is when you are looking at it for a year, like let's say you're saying we're going to send an email newsletter once a quarter. That kind of helps people to also see that if you're looking and you see that you have to send out a newsletter in a month, and you haven't shot anything that you really want to share or that you think is going to actually attract those ideal clients, then you know, okay, well, now I need to do some test shoots or a personal project because I need to send out this marketing email. So setting it up that way, I think, is helpful, just to see what you have coming up and help you to stay accountable and like stay on track. But definitely it should be something that you're always evolving in terms of the work that's going into it. It doesn't just have to be the most recent work or what you have right now. It's how are you going to fill this calendar with content that's going to keep moving you forward, which a lot of the time will be through test shoots as well.
Yeah. Hugh, you have a showing of your work happening. Is it Tokyo?
South Korea.
South Korea. Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
that is exactly the out of the box type of creative marketing that I'm talking about in my pyramid chart, not my pyramid scheme. I have one category called out of the box, and that is exactly what I'm talking about, Hugh, how you're doing that. How did you make that happen, and how are you using that for your marketing?
Well, the show, I couldn't do really anything until the show opened, which opened on Friday. It is a retrospective, so it spans across my entire career. But now I'm going to be pushing that forward, of course, with some images that I just received of the actual exhibit finished. I did a personal project for that particular exhibit that I'll be also featuring. But as far as where it came from, I think it had everything to do with what I'm doing here in this program. She found the webinars on APA.
Really?
She's been watching me for quite some time, and decided this was the right time to, contact me and tell me about this opportunity. So, and that's been an all summer long project. So now moving it forward, I'm going to be fully exploiting that.
That's a good word for marketing, exploiting.
Exploiting, yeah. So
it's giving you content.
Yes, it's giving me content, but it also, I just think, I'm also getting opportunities outside of, commissions right now. So it's, and this is another message which I want to bring to this platform is, put it out there, but, try not to have expectations. Let it come to you, right? Let your career come to you. What I found is I'll market over here, over here in this area, this is where I'm focusing on, and then something out of left field will come my way. And it just has to do with the energy I'm in, with, me putting it out there, feeling good about it. And I'll get sometimes a job that like completely blows what I was looking for out of the water, right? So there's that too. That's kind of a spiritual thing, but anyway, it's amazing how it works. All right.
Amy, that makes marketing.
Yeah, Amy, since that's perfect lead into, can you explain to us when you say energetic marketing? What do you mean?
Energetic marketing is really just how it sounds, is being in the right energy when you are marketing yourself. So we talked about this a little bit on Clubhouse yesterday. And I think, Andrea, you mentioned this advice that you got about if you're in a bad mood, don't do your marketing. You have to have good energy, because that energy is going to filter in the way that you are speaking. So in the copy that you're writing in your newsletter, in the caption that you're putting in your Instagram post. So making sure that you're coming from a place of positive energy, but also making sure that you're not in a place of scarcity where you're like, I have to get a job. I have to send out this newsletter. If I don't send out this newsletter and get a job, then I'm not going to be able to pay my rent. That's bad energy. And like you said, it sounds a little woo, but people can really smell it. And I actually know photographers who have sent emails to art buyers saying, I haven't had a job in months. I really need something like that. No. Yeah, getting in the right mood before you market yourself. And maybe that means, doing something that feels good to you before you have your marketing day. Maybe, for me, I'm always having a dance party before I get on the phone with a client, you know, make it feel good. And I love what he was saying also about just release it into the wild without any expectation, because chances are most people are not going to reply to your emails, and that's okay. That's normal. They're going to bookmark you. They're going to follow you on Instagram. Things are going to happen when they're supposed to happen, but just toss it out in the world and say, whatever comes back to me will come back to me. And I think you'll be surprised, like with what Hugh said, you might get something better than you even imagined if you have that great energy in it.
Do you know what's interesting? I think a lot of that depends on that you are doing some marketing, because it's out there. People will find you. So there
Yeah,
are
you still
ways.
have to do the
Yeah.
work. You can't
Yeah.
just, you know,
Yeah.
think about it happening. It's not the secret. Like, you do have to do the work.
But even if I'm in a bad mood, so it's not a day for me to call people or email people directly, but maybe I get, I don't know, the images on the feed. I don't know, just ways to put myself out there. And for photographers, maybe that's where you choose a source book or LinkedIn, as you were talking about, just something, putting it out there for people to find, more of a passive way to do it. Maybe that's the days you do that. 'Cause you
Yeah,
have- Yeah,
yeah, I agree with that. I agree with
gotta
that.
be findable.
Yeah. But
Right.
yeah, I've heard photographers that have creative calls, and if they're not, you know, scheduled, and if they're not in the best place they can be, they'll postpone it. And that's
Yeah.
smart. That's
That is
super
smart.
smart.
I love how Mary said OMG to that, because I once had for a photographer to put it out there that I haven't worked in months. Yes, Mary, OMG. I had a art producer beginning of my career say, you know what I need? I need photographers to be confident. Even if you're not feeling confident, come in here confident, because you're wanting them to hire you and depend on you, trust you, as we were saying, because their jobs depend on us. If it goes south, they're in trouble. And the budget they've just blew on us failing, not cool. So we have to sound confident. We are like making them feel confident to hire us.
Yeah. There's another question from the audience if you want to do
Yeah,
it.
please.
A lot of
please.
marketing feels like try it and see. I feel like I'm always looking for ROI to see if something is appropriate. Is that the wrong approach? If it's the correct approach, how long do you recommend someone tries a new approach to see if it works?
Really good question.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
That's great. I love the idea of testing different things. I think it depends on what you're testing before you decide. You know, I think some marketing strategies can take 2 to 3 years to get a return. That happened for me as a rep, starting to market the artists on my roster. Networking, emailing, sending promos. You know, there were people who didn't have the right job for my artists until 2 years later, but they were holding on to what I had sent them before. So I think it depends on the platform. If it's networking and email and newsletters, it's going to be a long game. If it's something more like, you know, Instagram stories, you can get immediate feedback on, you know, what's happening, who's looking, who's skipping and swiping through things. So those might have a shorter notification period. That makes sense.
Result. Yeah.
Result, yeah.
Mhm. Julie, any other thought on that?
I was pretty much going to say the same thing. I mean, yeah, I think standard like marketing ROI for a full marketing plan is like 2 to 3 years before you really see the full benefits. And it definitely depends on what you're doing. I would kind of encourage you maybe to not be looking at the ROI of each individual thing that you're doing, but maybe over a period of time and see where you're landing, because you're not going to get a ton of feedback. Like, just an easy example is the email newsletter. You're not really getting a ton of valuable feedback if you just see one time that it, like, not a lot of people clicked, and then you're like, well, never doing that again. You know, like, that's not really going to help you a whole lot. So maybe kind of, you know, give a bit of a grace period there. But yeah, always be testing. I mean, if you do something and you're like, oh, I don't really, maybe that could have been better, try something else next time. But I would say don't stop a marketing practice just because one time, you're not getting the return on that investment that you were hoping for.
Yeah.
Two parts of that for me. First of all, is the pyramid the shape I chose to make this marketing plan, because it builds on each other. Testing's good, but it's based on that there's this solid structure under it. So you don't know, if you remove one piece, it could crumble. I was going to say something else. Damn.
I'll jump in. That reminds me of something that comes up a lot with clients also is when I'm working long-term with someone and, you know, they'll get a job and like, oh my God, you won't believe who contacted me. And I asked, well, did you find out where they found you? And sometimes people will be like, yeah, like just on Instagram, like, I guess this thing isn't working. And I'm like, no, that's not necessarily true. Like, just because someone finds you on Instagram, they're still looking at your website, you know, they're still looking at your portfolio. They may have even gotten a newsletter. Like, you don't really know which of those moving parts is the thing that in their mind was like, oh, okay, great, I'm going to reach out. And often it's all of those things working together. It's making sure that you are getting people to become aware of you. You're showing them what they want to see on the website. You're showing some personality and, you know, more work on your social media. You're connecting in the right way. So it's often a lot of things that are working together instead of just like one single practice is not going to make or break career.
They boost each other. They build each other.
Yeah.
You have to look solid. You can't just, I mean, I say you master one thing, but it's not that you're not trying all the others.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
The thing I was going to say is that what we were talking about, Amy, with the energetic marketing, I know when something just feels right. So even if it's not paying back in dollars at that moment, it's building me to be a stronger me, to give me more ideas, more creativity. So you know actually what's working for you, probably you feel it. And that's maybe better than, am I getting money back for this thing from this thing?
I agree.
Do you have a certain email template suggestion? I know this is really confusing, and this came up on Clubhouse yesterday with us. Do you include like a basic script? Who do you send it to, and when do you send it for emails?
I think and this is kind of what we talked about yesterday a little bit. I think with frequency, there's not always a right answer. I think it depends on the photographer. I know some people who have a lot of success when they send out one email a month that just focuses on one project or one story. I know some people who prefer to do it once a quarter. I talked to someone who swears that sending them out once a week is the way to go. And I was like, well, God bless you. I don't know if everyone else would feel that way. I think that it depends a lot on who you are and the type of work you're creating and how you're presenting that work. If you're sending out, you know, one story a month, then great. It's like brief, it's, you know, it's concise. The email itself isn't going to go on and on and on with all of these, you know, different stories that you're sharing. And you can probably get away with sending that out more frequently. And that, you know, kind of answers that question about a template too. Are you sharing an overview of the last quarter, or are you sharing one specific thing? That's kind of up to you and your work and how often you're creating work that you can share. But I would say at a minimum, it should be once a quarter. A maximum, I really can't encourage anyone to send once a week, but I would say once a month sounds good if you like feel like you keep up with that. And then for a template also, you know, some people like to include text, some people don't. The truth is probably people aren't going to read the text that you include anyway, so keep it very brief. You know, make sure everything's linking to your website, to your social media, you know, sharing work that the recipients want to see also. So making sure that the people on your list actually make sense for what's in the email. All of those things are important, but I always kind of encourage people with email newsletters to look at their own work first and what they're creating and how often they're creating it before coming up with those deadlines for themselves.
I like that. I agree.
I think we also need to, you know, talk about the difference between what you're writing in a direct email versus a newsletter. I feel like maybe that was where the question was coming from with the template about what to say when you're first reaching out to someone. And I think Julie and I probably have similar advice to this. If if you're sending a direct email, so first of all, newsletters can be monthly or quarterly. If you have fantastic work to share, send it monthly. But as far as direct emails, which I feel like photographers should be sending direct emails monthly or bi-monthly to their top people, I think you should start with an introductory email and always make sure that you're speaking very directly, specifically to these people, and that they feel like you're speaking directly to them. You never want to copy paste the same thing to a bunch of people because they can smell it. So if you're introducing yourself to a potential new client, you want to, introduce, say who you are, where you are, what you do, and then tell them specifically why you're reaching out to them. What is it you love about their brand or their service? And keep it short and sweet. I like for photographers to attach a really great PDF when they're doing an introductory email, and then some kind of light call to action. Like, can we keep in touch on Instagram, and then link to your Instagram. And then following up directly again every month or 2 months when you have something new to share with that person.
I love that call to action.
Mm.
Because we have to get creative about that. What does
Yeah.
that mean for everybody's going to be a little different? Maybe it's something you love about what they're selling, like those shoes that you want to get this job. You talk about the shoes. Make a story about the shoes that you have these shoes. I don't know. Yeah. Call to action. And yesterday on our Clubhouse, we heard a lot about the confusion of bios, right? A lot of different opinions on that. So that would be interesting. What do you think makes a good bio versus a bad bio on the website, on their website?
Brevity. Keep
What
it
is
brief.
that? Oh,
Keep it
brief.
brief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I think, I mean, in terms of sort of like looking bigger picture, photographers' websites don't have a lot of opportunity for text, obviously, because we're sharing images. So a bio is a great way to include some SEO keywords. So you should definitely list your location, type out what your specialties are or something, include what it is that you like to shoot, include a client list, afterwards, or in the bio if you want. But keep it brief because people really aren't going to read it all. We're not going to, I mean, a paragraph maybe, but like, I'm not reading the second paragraph because we don't have the time for that,
I also think for me, I feel like a bio needs to be in first person. And we're probably repeating some things we said in the website webinar, but I think unless you're really famous or dead, your bio should be in first person. I think nobody really cares that much about where you went to school or who gave you your first camera or how many cats you have, but people are going to your about page. They are going there. It's usually the second page they go to, and this is, again, how they're building trust. They want to know what it's going to be like to work with you. So giving them some kind of nugget of your personality, like, are you serious? How do you ask yourself, how do you want your business to be perceived by others? And how can you relay that in your bio? How can you pepper some personality in there? And I love it when photographers will include some kind of random skill set that they have that may be helpful with a shoot. Like, maybe you're a rock climber, maybe you speak 5 different languages, or maybe you used to be a barista and you can make all the coffee drinks, like some little nuggets of your personality. But again, definitely, like Julie said, keep it brief. People love to see the client list on there. And then, is there some little thing you can put in there that will help someone relate to you?
I love that.
Damn, Amy. Let's just stop there.
Not yet. Not
We
yet.
are running out of time soon, which I'm not even halfway done on all the questions I have. So we are going to have to do another episode to finish this.
Oh,
but
darn.
I know, but let's go on. We still good 10 minutes, right? You guys okay with the time?
Do they want us to do another episode? Let us know in the chat.
Tell us
I-
again.
I know the answer.
Weekly?
Oh, weekly.
Oh my gosh. They're on fire.
Yeah.
Hey.
This is such a big topic. There's so much to this.
Great.
For emails, sometimes I see words from a photographer, a paragraph. I'm like, where's the image? An image do you guys agree with me? There has to be an image.
Yes, please.
Like
In the
direct-
bio, right?
No, I'm sorry, on an email, on an email,
like a
Oh,
direct email, like one-to-one.
a direct email. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We have disagreed about this in the past. I like the PDF. I like to see like a
Two of you like that.
Yeah. And I know some people don't, but I also tell people, you know, try, I think that's something if we're going to talk about testing, maybe try that one. See if people use an email tracker, see if people are opening that email, if they're clicking on, you know, on anything in there. And if you see that they're not really, or you're not really hearing back, try it next time without the PDF and maybe link to a website page that, you know, you think they would enjoy, something like that.
That's what I recommend, a link to they want to click on a link. I don't think you can send email up PDFs to clients who don't really know you. There's a lot of dangerous stuff out there. I would not do it. But I would send an image, one image, like a one sheet of many images or one image, some kind of promo on your email because you're a photographer and that's what they're going to look at. Because Amy, you said they're probably not going to read much, or Julie, you said that.
Yeah, we're not reading.
No.
Yeah. Right?
A smart thing to do also, if you have the time for it, would be to create like a hidden page on your website that was targeting that client and could serve, like set it up like an overview page, right? And have it on there. Use an email tracker so that you can see if people who open the email are clicking on that link. And then you'll get more feedback on whether or not people are actually opening it or if they're spending time on the website. And it'll be a personalized link. So it's not like they're just clicking on your website. You'll be able to see if they actually went to that page.
I like that.
that's smart.
That's really smart. And wait, not action items. What did you call it, Amy? Not action.
Calls to action.
Call to action.
Call to
Like, can you
action.
give us a couple examples? More examples?
Sure. Yeah, I think start with something like can we keep in touch on Instagram, and then you can see if they follow you. You know, maybe after a few emails where you're feeling out if you are getting some interaction with this person, maybe it could be, you know, ask for a Zoom review or ask for coffee.
Yeah.
Or some people, I see some people doing this now with print promos. Can I mail you a print promo? If so, you know, reply back with a good address.
I like that. Because then if they say yes, it's in front of them, something they keep.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the best marketing there is. If it's something that's in front of them.
Well, now we're talking about, you know, during the pandemic, no one's in the office, no one's receiving. So are you saying now that things are beginning to open up, that maybe email or printed promos are a good thing to be putting into your marketing plan again?
I say no, we're not there yet, unless you can get people's addresses, home addresses. And then how long is that going to last? So I wouldn't invest in that yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think to Amy's point, though, asking someone if you can send them, that's, you know,
That's a difference. Okay, got it.
Yeah, as opposed to doing what you normally would do, sending it out to your whole mailing list.
Yeah.
If you created something and then you were kind of, that conversation is getting started, you're building that relationship and you feel comfortable asking, you know, if they would like to receive one, then people might say, okay, yeah, or if they have a PO box or something. Or could pick it up at the office, something like that. At least you're giving them the option.
And then you could even make something really nice, frame and print something, a piece of artwork. Again, it'll be in their home. That's the best marketing you could do. It's like you're just sitting there.
Yeah.
Hi.
I have to say, as an art buyer, I would love it when photographers would send me photography books, especially if they were, you know, I think I got one from Danny Clinch. I was so excited. His agent sent me one of his books. That was amazing. As far as artwork, though, I mean, that's really personal. I actually think that could be a waste of money, depending, because you don't know what people's tastes are. And to put effort into sending and mailing a big print to them, it might go in the trash. Never know. I think you have to be careful with that.
I'd say if it's really good, like my photographer, Jeff Stockwell, has one of a lifeguard with foggy water on the beach, the lifeguard tower. Beautiful. Like, who wouldn't want that? That
Mhm.
kind of stuff, you just know people are going to love it. Or even I've done notepads, things for their desk, or a plant and a
Yeah,
plant,
that makes sense.
something that's in front of them.
Yeah, sticky notes and pens. I mean, especially for agents. I don't know how that works with photographers, but those things always stayed on my desk. I have like Shutterstock Corvus. Is Corvus
Yeah.
even still around? I still have these from like 10 years ago. Those
Yeah.
things stick around.
I once had a photographer do a great Sharpie pen with his branding on it. Just great idea. Stay in front of these people.
Mhm.
I call that swag. It's on one of my pyramid. What about follow-up? What do you recommend for follow-up? So if we've emailed people and we have a really important dream list, how do we follow up with them? What do you think?
Follow up like after, like in general, how do you stay in touch, or after
Yeah.
sending out an email?
Or both? Like, what's a follow-up process that photographers can use?
Um, I guess it depends on how you're getting started, what your introduction is to that person. But like, let's just say you sent out a direct email to someone. You introduce yourself, you ask. I love the idea of asking if you can follow on Instagram, because that's a great way to get someone to your Instagram. And then once you do that, they're going to see your work more frequently. I would say, I mean, I think it depends on the type of work, but with following up, like sending those follow-up emails, what I really like to see is when that's been done really thoughtfully. So, let's say you're introducing yourself to someone at McDonald's, you're a food photographer, you send that first introduction, there's a PDF that has an overview of your work or a link to the website with an overview of something. Maybe the next email happens like a month or two later after you've shot a new campaign, and you follow up with them and say, hey, I just wanted to share this work that I did for Chick-fil-A. You can send them to that part of your website. Hope you're doing well. Something like that. And then just kind of
So you're
always,
saying very specific.
I like it to be very specific in those instances.
I like that.
Because also we think like, if you're doing things in a really like strategic way, you're getting people to the other platforms. So like if you're just if your only relationship with someone is emailing them, I think it's in your best interest to get them to your Instagram, right? Or to LinkedIn or to the newsletter or something like that, where they're seeing your work on a regular basis. And that email isn't the only thing that's keeping you in front of them. Because if so, they're not gonna then there's a lot of pressure, I think, on that to like really stay on their radar, instead of giving them the opportunity to engage with you in a passive way, like on Instagram.
That's a great point too, Julie, because people move around so much. If you're just emailing them at Ogilvy and then they move, you want them to be connected to you on LinkedIn or on Instagram. It's really smart.
Yeah, just having someone on your email is like just kind of risky, because they're going to move at some point, and they're not going to be able to see your work as consistently as you want them to. So you should always be trying to funnel them into social media somehow.
Love that. Strategic. You called it strategic follow-up or something like that to guide
I
them.
like to think about it as having yourself in their peripheral vision. So popping up on LinkedIn, popping up on Instagram, while also them getting those regular emails.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we could call that follow-up, because it's just making sure it's not just that one thing. Do you think people should do it at the same time? Let's say we put out a big email. Should we at that time then jump on everything else, make sure we're backing it up time-wise, or spread it out more?
I like for someone to repeat the same content across their platforms at the same time or within that week. So again, it's building that repetition.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that trust that you were talking about. What's the difference between an email with a promo attached versus an email newsletter?
Well, an email newsletter is something that's going out to an email newsletter is sharing new work, and it's going out to a mass audience. It's not copy and pasted, because it's just one email that you're sending out to all of your contact list. Whereas the direct email that we were talking about, that's something that's one-on-one, where you're really focusing on relationship building with one individual person at a time. Whereas the newsletter is more it's more passive. It's going out to everyone. It's, you know, sharing new work, but it's not directly communicating one-on-one with the recipient.
Can the newsletter, does it have to have a lot of different images? I've been doing this job and this job, or can it be one job?
So that's what we were saying earlier. I think sharing, I think that depends on the person. If you're shooting a lot of work, like editorial photographers who, you know, are shooting a lot of different stories each month, they're going to have a lot of content to share. They can probably get away with sending out like once a month. I don't know if anyone's on Leslie Groh's email list, but she has these like beautiful emails that she sends out, and it's like about once a month, and there's always just one story in it or one like project. And I think those are really great and works really well for her. Other people might want to do an overview every 3 months or something where they're just showing different clients or different campaigns.
What a bit mass emails in general for me are something I most often delete immediately. They all actually make me feel good. I'm like, oh, good, I could just delete it because it's not really to me. So Amy, I think you were saying before, don't sound mass, don't copy it and paste unless you don't mind me deleting it, which honestly, I do mass emails, e-blasts, and I know most people are going to delete it. But let's say 1,000 people open it and 200 people click on it. And let's say I sent it to 20,000 people, but still I'm getting 200 clicks in one day to go to my website. Hallelujah. Like that's great. So I just can't expect, I have to know where my expectations are with e-blasts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, we've been over an hour and we have a lot more to go, but I think we just have to say next month for all this.
Well, I think we should earmark where we left off just to make sure we can cover it next month.
I haven't. Yeah. I did promise a final question that I got a surprising answer from an art producer on. So I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think of TikTok and their amount of followers on Instagram? Does that affect, how do you see that? Amy smirking, smiling.
Oh my God, that could be an entire hour.
Good. All right. Just tell me. Yeah.
I think for TikTok, you have to, for any social platform, you need to find out where your target client is. If they are producing tons of content on TikTok, maybe you should be there just to show them that you're there, that you understand the platform. And then as far as followers, I don't think it matters. I really don't. If you want to be hired as a commercial photographer to do a big campaign, the art buyer is not going to care how many followers you are. If you are being targeted by a brand to do, you know, social media and they are looking to hire an influencer, that's a whole nother conversation. But photographers who are focused on being hired for big commercial campaigns, I really don't want you to stress out about how many followers you have. I don't think it's as important as you think it is.
I think it's more important about the content and the way you conduct yourself on those platforms. That's truly, you know, more important to me. To be authentic, to be as real as I possibly can, and show my personality in the way I talk. You know, so I agree with that, Amy.
Yeah, I do too. Julie, anything on that?
Well, to kind of just go off of that, like follower numbers is something that's like, it's called a vanity metric. It doesn't actually mean anything because we don't know who those followers are. It's just a number. And people will hire sometimes, like you said, for an influencer type photographer. And there's not a whole lot you can do about that unless you want to be an influencer. Most of the time, it doesn't matter that much. To speak about TikTok, though, I did have one client who recently said that most of their clients find them on TikTok. And she has a huge TikTok following. And I was like, sorry, what? Like, can you repeat that? Like, I've never heard this before. And the way that it worked for her is because she was a still life photographer and she would create these really beautiful sets. She did the set design too. There was something that was just so unique about the look of her images. And I think that that's what people wanted to see, was that she would show these process shots and the BTS and create these like clips of how she was making the images, and people just loved it. They were like eating it up. That's where she got all of her clients. My mind was blown. I was like so amazed by that. But for her, it worked super well.
Yeah, I heard that recently. It's really not a kid's app anymore. Doctors are showing procedures, and people are doing technical things that have previously had no business being on TikTok, but now it is being embraced a lot more, and so now more people are taking advantage of it in different ways. So I agree with that.
I'm taking advantage of it. I just started with AskSternRep on TikTok to get more reels. I know that's a big topic, and we will get into reels next month. The answer I got from this two art producers said this to me, that Instagram following will not help photographers get the job. They were really clear, not at all. I did find it interesting, and I'll show more of that survey because I asked a bunch of questions on AskSternRep. Also, remember APA membership, you're getting a deal today. Today's
Right.
Do it. There's a code. Is the code being put out there?
No, code, you need to, Patty put her email address, email her directly, and she'll give you a code, and then you get a 20% discount on your first year at any level you choose. All right.
It's really worth it.
Yeah.
This is a group we all need.
Because it's all about advocacy. I mean, we get together as a board and talk about this stuff to the smallest detail. And so we're working hard to bring this stuff to you, and your support. We need your support. I know I sound like an NPR pledge drive,
Yeah.
but
But it's true. Yeah.
it's really, really true.
Well, it's a community. Photographers are a community, and we have a business to make better. And where do we want the business to go, and how do we stick together? And it's more power. And
Yeah.
AP is one of the best groups that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and there's a list of vendors you get discounts from too. Apple gives a discount, Sammy's. You're able to attend members only portfolio reviews. You can get on the Hire an APA Pro member profile. So there's a bunch of advantages to all this. Yeah, discounts to competitions and whatnot.
So any final comments or words of wisdom that you two care to share with us as we end this first episode? Any words of wisdom?
I just want to plug Andrea's website again, AskSternRep.com, because it's a virtual search engine for all these topics. So if there's anything that we didn't cover today, you can find it there. And I have a lot of stuff on my blog as well. So I love that Julie mentioned Leslie Grow. I have a blog that shows what really gorgeous email newsletters look like. If anyone needs more on that. We didn't even get to photography directories, but I also have a marketing calendar, and I think Julie might have one too. So if you don't have a marketing calendar, I have one on my website, and I know there's a lot of questions that didn't get answered. So if I can help anyone, feel free to send me a DM on Instagram or an email. And thanks again for having us. This was so fun. I can't believe the time went by so fast.
I feel like we barely got started.
Right. We could do this in like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Easily.
I
Julie,
did
any final words of wisdom?
2-hour webinar. I was like, maybe I don't know about that. Gosh, words of wisdom. Just keep at it, people. Everything comes together. Always be testing. Keep doing everything. Follow all of us. We all post tips and information on our social media, on our websites. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing this next month.
And Julie, where do we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Julie Skarwecki Consulting, or my website is julieskarwecki.com.
Awesome. Amy V, where do we find you?
Amy V. Cooper, anywhere on
And
the web.
everywhere.
And I wanted to say also, don't be afraid to fail. And your marketing does not have to be perfect. It's more important that you're showing up and that you're consistent than that it's perfect or you're waiting for something better to send out. Just start sending it out, and you'll get better and better at it.
I love that. I have one final question. And remember, everybody, Hugh and I stay on after for a wrap chat. So stay with us for that. My final question today is more of a personal one. misreading fears and discomfort as tasks we are not good at. Like, I don't want to do that thing because I'm not good at that. Have you had fears where you felt the fear and did it anyway? Good book. Felt fear and did it anyway, which led to a surprising yourself to be really good at something. Like, did you take a risk and you're like, oh my God, I'm kind of good at this. I didn't know. I'd like everyone to answer this, please. Hugh, you wanna?
Yeah, I'll start. I mean, sometimes I come up with these fantastical ideas on what I want to shoot, and then I have no way of knowing how I'm going to do it. But through trial and error, failure, and successes, I've been able to get to a point where I feel comfortable in doing it. And I'm like, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I pushed myself through that. So, and that happens all the time with me. You know? Happens all the time. So.
I love that. Every photographer needs to do that because that's the word testing. It's a test. Yeah.
And when you were talking about, failures and successes, there's no such thing as successes without failures. I mean, and there really is no such thing as failure because they're all stepping stones to those successes. So, it's bumping, it's the bumpers in the bumper car. They just direct you into the right direction. So anyway.
Absolutely. Yes. Julie, anything?
I love that. There's no such thing as failure. That's so true. It's all just learning opportunities. I can't think of a specific example, but I would say, just to speak to your question, Andrea, there's always a reason not to do something that kind of freaks you out a little bit, but fear is just a feeling, and feelings aren't facts. So just because you feel intimidated by something doesn't mean you're bad at it. It just means you're feeling a healthy amount of anxiety because you haven't done it before, or it's new to you, or there's something that's telling you to be a little bit cautious, which is normal because, like, we're talking about your careers. So obviously everyone wants to do well. We all want to grow. But just remember that those are just feelings. And the more you do something, it just becomes second nature. So something that seems scary, I know direct emails are really scary for a lot of people. After you do it for a little bit, you are not going to think twice. It's going to just kind of come out naturally. So yeah, just kind of get the ball rolling, start doing things. It'll get easier.
Oh, love it. Amy?
This is my life story because I'm taking risks all the time and I'm having panic attacks all the time. And when I started my agency, I was like, I'm an introvert, so I'm just going to do like really cool gifts and send them in the mail. And it took me about 5 minutes to realize that I was going to have to become an extrovert or have some bit of extroversion in my life. And I completely blew my own mind by how I was able to do this. But the fear is always going to come back. And I think that there's a lot of ways to get through the fear. I think there's cognitive behavioral therapy, there's neuro-linguistic programming. So for example, stop telling yourself you're bad at emailing people. Just stop saying those words, stop letting those words live in your mind. Instead of saying, I don't want to do a newsletter because I'm bad at it, you can say, I get to do a newsletter, and every time I do it, I'm learning more and becoming better at it. The other thing is setting intentions. Setting a positive intention before you do something will change the outcome of that thing. And we talked a little bit about that. Also, start with taking small risks. So I heard this on the podcast this one time where this guy was saying, like, if you're afraid to ask for things, especially if you're afraid to like put yourself out there and ask for work or get portfolio reviews or whatever, start by maybe just going to a store and asking for a 10% discount, because it gets you in the action of asking for things. And when you realize when people say no, it's not that big of a deal. Like, no one's going to kick you out of the store for asking for 10% off. So it kind of like starts to slowly build that confidence. I'm actually going to be teaching all about this weekend. So I'm really excited to talk about it. The other thing is, ask for help. Get out of your bubble. If you don't know what to write in an email, call up a consultant, ask a friend, get on Clubhouse where there's a million other photographers and ask other people for advice. You don't have to figure it all out on your own. There's so many people out there who are happy to share information with you. And again, failure is information. If we didn't fail, we would never learn. So giving yourself permission to fail at something is the most powerful thing. If I had not done that, I never would have started an agency. I would still be working in advertising, being miserable.
Where are you teaching that this weekend?
I'm teaching a live marketing habits masterclass. So it's going to be virtual on Zoom. I only have 8 spots left. So if anybody wants to join me, you might want to head over there now and grab your spot. But it's going to be all about marketing habits, not specifically about photography marketing tasks. But I'm going to do guided visualizations. We're going to do EFT tapping. We're really going to get into working on the identity, because if you don't have the identity that you can be successful, it doesn't matter what your systems are or what you want your outcomes to be. You really have to believe in yourself first.
You'll be blocked.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good. This to me was the most important, valuable question and answer, because this is the stuff. And my example for me is my whole AskSternRep thing. I had all these thoughts and words in my head constantly, and I didn't know how to, or even if it was possible to talk about it and share it. I would get these wisdoms, what I call Wednesday wisdoms on my SternRep, is I would notice things on a creative call or in a treatment. Oh, that photographer got that job because they did that. But who am I going to tell that to? I could tell that photographer. Can't really tell anyone else. But it's given me a platform and a voice. I never thought of I was an introvert. I thought, I'm not an extrovert, but I trusted something. I took that first step, and I just opened my mouth and it just keeps coming out. So it kind of works, even if I didn't think I could. I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, so make sure to follow AskSternRep and APA LA on Instagram and the new AskSternRep.com. Join the APA LA mailing list so you won't miss out on upcoming episodes. Hugh, any other words for us?
Well, just I want to reiterate the opportunity for a 20% discount there. I'm a hard sell. All right, act now. Right, our pledge drive ends at midnight tonight. But there's so much to be taken advantage of with that membership, and it gives so much more than what you put out. So it's incredible. So that's what I wanted to say. But I do want to say thank you, ladies, and I can't wait to get together again next month. It sounds like that you guys are in. All right.
Yeah.
So,
They better be.
Very in.
Yeah.
We're on call.
Yeah.
We're
Good.
so lucky.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
We are.
Well,
We are.
everybody stay with us for our quick little wrap chat, me and Hugh. I was gonna say Huey. So bye, Julie and Amy. Thank you for being here.
Bye. Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.
Julie, are you going to make an exit? Are you
Am
going
I-
to turn around and make an exit?
Oh, turn around.
Guys.
Oh, yes.
No, we'll save it for later.
I just want to think about something.
It's going to be on her TikTok later, okay?
Yeah. Oh, there it is. That's what we're alluding to.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Wow.
Well, they are awesome.
They are. Hugh, I got so much out of this. Did you?
Yes. Yeah. There's so much more. I'm taking notes. I'd love to learn more about SEOs though. I would love to if we could focus a little bit on that.
Okay.
Month, a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
And algorithms on LinkedIn. Amy mentioned that.
yeah, that seems to be, I know a lot of photographers that are moving back into LinkedIn in a little more aggressive way. So,
Yeah.
and I've certainly done a little bit more of it, but, the feedback is great,
I
and
wonder if there are specific ways to do it to get the SEO to help and algorithms of LinkedIn.
I don't know.
Like specific words we have to use. That'll be an interesting question.
That'd be super interesting to find out about that. So,
How to do it. Yeah, we'd love all your questions. So they really help.
Yes,
You can
and
write 'em on here. Mhm.
yeah, but you can also, when you register, there is a question at the end of like, what is your question? So when you do that, when you do register for the next webinar, be sure to fill that in, okay?
Yeah.
And you can also, of course, email Patty and she'll feed some of those questions into next month's program. But it's been great. It's great to see you again.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, and I know we have not met physically, and
Isn't that weird?
I know, but I think we're getting ready to, yes?
Yes. Outside lunch.
Outside lunch, yes, outside lunch.
Outside
I love
lunch
that.
with
Okay.
Patty.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
And speaking of Patty, would Patty like to join us?
yeah, Patty, come
Yeah.
up here.
Come on up.
She's like, no, I'm an introvert.
There she is. She's not that
Oh, wait,
bad.
I have to, how do I show, show self-view? There I am.
There you are.
Yay.
Hey.
What did you like? Did you like the whole episode, Patty?
Oh my God, it's just, there's too much. There's just too much, but they have so much to share. And obviously we could tell the attendees want them back to finish what they were already talking about. But
Yeah.
I think that it's, they speak real. Do you know, it's, they're really sharing information that is relatable and understandable and attainable. And
Right.
so it's, they don't make it sound scary. So,
Right. Overwhelming.
yeah.
Yeah,
And your pyramid, Andrea, is fabulous. And so happy to have that.
Good.
Yeah.
yeah, it's really nice.
And thank you for the pledge, the membership pledge drive. Great. It's great.
Wow. They are so easy to talk to, these two. I mean, all guests have been great for us, but these two, like, it just goes, it flows. And
But that's the four of you, talk about what you were talking about, energy, and it's you, the four of you get together. There's not a person in the audience that's not going to pick up on that. You're all excited about talking about it. It's contagious. It's they want to hear, they want to listen.
Hugh, were you present the way you wanted to, your intention?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was a little distracted by watching the questions come in, but yeah, what I love to hear is about the energy. I think that's so important. And I've discovered that, through trial and error in my own marketing, and I think they're both right. Even if an email is written, people can smell, hear, or smell your positive energy.
Or disingenuous.
Yes. Yeah.
People have to be authentic.
Yeah.
So it's what we all want. Yeah.
I appreciated that you brought that up on Clubhouse yesterday, because it affects me in my work. Do you know, I know there are days that I shouldn't be reaching out to certain people, and I'll do something else that's just more quiet work. And you have to be very aware of where you are at that point, in that day.
Yeah. I remember I said on Clubhouse, I was being taught pretty much by David Zeitz, who's a photographer now, but he was a rep. He was getting out of repping into photography. I was getting out of photography into repping at the same time. And I'd go over to his house and he'd teach me. He was my mentor. And he said that to me: if you're in a pissy mood, do not pick up the phone and call people. Because back in the day, that's what we did, call people. He said, no. Organize your file cabinet that day. Yeah.
So true.
So true. Some things you never forget, like nuggets like that, really shape your career.
Yeah, but even your environment. I mean, I know if my place is a mess, I'm not together here, right? And how can I be together in front of these people, right? You know, even if it's a phone call, there's
Yeah.
something in my voice that they're going to pick up, or the words that I use. Yeah. So
I just thought of something with that. I work with Rainey a lot, and
mhm.
she helps me with
Rainey.
everything. We all need a person, and maybe something like this can be found in APA together with community, but we all need someone to be able to talk to and say, I feel really crappy today. I don't know what to do. Or I have this vision for this pyramid, but how do I do it? Like someone to talk through things, kind of a partner in crime, someone to let loose, be yourself, and just talk about it and say, I don't know how to do this.
And not being afraid to say it and to ask. And it's very important. It's okay to be vulnerable. And
Yeah.
it's
You
part
know,
of
the funniest part, she'll start saying something and immediately I'm like, oh yeah. Like she can just say, Rainey could say, oh yeah, what do you want? We could do a promo with that. And I'm like, oh, and then it floods out of me. Like something about connecting with someone and talking and sharing this whole process of marketing, of our careers, of our fears, and all that unknown stuff that I don't know how to always take out of my head and do it.
It's the collaborating. And I know
Yeah.
Hugh and I feel that when we're in our board meetings.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, we're all just sharing ideas.
Right.
And it fuels, definitely.
Right. And I think we found that on this webinar that we keep doing. Whether it's you and I, or with our guest, or with you, Patty, it's just like, I don't know, something good about it.
It's definitely. But what people have said, the chemistry with the two of you sets the tone for the room. And then your guests come in and it goes from there. But
Yeah.
you two have set the tone for navigating the unknown.
Yay, Hugh, yay.
Yay, Andrea, yay, Hugh. APALA is forever.
But we couldn't have done it without.
Without Patty.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Patty's up here for me. Well, I guess we go now, right? Clap, clap,
Yeah.
Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Mary. Big
Thank
support.
you.
Well,
All right, we'll have
Until
I
our
have
date.
two things next week. Focus on Women Clubhouse next Tuesday morning-ish. And then I'm doing an Atlanta APA webinar about
Oh,
reps.
yes.
Yeah,
We
reps.
have it on our website, apa-la.org. There's information about that panel, and I will be posting on Instagram. So
good.
Awesome. Well, I'll see you guys next month.
Looking forward to it.
yeah, we'll pick a date. And,
Okay.
yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you for the
Yeah.
attendees that are still on.
I know, this is great. Anything you guys want to talk about out
Hey,
there?
Robin, thank you.
Yeah, so send your questions to Patty. We'll get them on next month. Okay. All right,
Yeah.
you guys.
All
See you
right.
later.
See you later. Go eat, Hugh.
Yeah. You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.